the secret way to get into Australia, to migrate into Australia, get that PR easily. As I said, there's a huge demand for teachers in Australia. When you start teaching, your salary would be somewhere around 70 to 75,000 Australian dollars, and this can go anywhere up to $100,000. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Neha and you're watching IMMI Australia. This is one of the most requested videos on my channel, and it is all about how can you migrate to Australia as a secondary school teacher. Teaching is one of the most noble professions, and right now teaching is in high demand in Australia. This video is going to be full of important information, so grab a pen and paper and let's get started with today's video. Alright, first things first, why should you come to Australia for teaching? So if you've been following Australian newspapers or news, you must have found that there's a huge teacher shortage right now in Australia, especially in STEM. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So there's a huge need for secondary science and math teachers, and especially in regional areas. So when there's a shortage, of course, there's an opportunity for migration. So Australia welcomes qualified secondary school teachers to migrate to Australia, as it has been widely reported that there aren't enough local teachers to fill the vacancy. As compared to some other occupations which are at peak saturation for migration, teaching is a good opportunity if you want to migrate to Australia, because as I mentioned, there aren't enough teachers. Now let's talk about salary. So as a graduate teacher, when you start teaching, your salary would be somewhere around 70 to 75,000 Australian dollars, and this can go anywhere up to $100,000 as your roles and responsibilities increase. The ANSCO code for secondary school teachers is 241411. It is currently on medium and long-term strategic skills list, or MLTSLL list. Now, any occupation which is on this list means that this occupation is in high demand across the various states and territories in Australia. So of course, the Immigration Department is going to prioritize getting these people migrate to Australia. The most common visas that you can apply for a secondary school teacher is 189 or skilled independent visa, 190 or skilled nominated visa, and 491 or skilled regional provisional visa. There are other subclasses as well, but these are the most popular ones. Let's talk about eligibility. So the first thing is that you need a bachelor's degree in education. It can be a bachelor's of education, bachelor's of teaching, or a master's of teaching, or a master's of education, plus 45 days of supervised teaching practice with students within the age group of 13 to 18, because you will be applying for a secondary school teacher. Now, the second eligibility requirement is your IELTS scores. And remember, it's just IELTS, not PTE, TOEFL, or any other English language proficiency test. English language requirements for a teacher or to become a teacher in Australia is usually very high because of the diversity of students that you would be teaching. The score requirements are you need at least 7 for both reading and writing, and a score of 8 for speaking and listening. Now that you know the eligibility criteria, let's talk about the steps that you need to take in order to migrate to Australia as a secondary school teacher. So the first step is take the point test. So Australian immigration is a points-based system, and you need at least 65 points in order to migrate to Australia as a secondary school teacher. Now, these points are based on age, educational qualification, relevant skills, work experience, language proficiency, etc., etc. I will add a link in the description. Make sure you check that out to see how many points you actually have. The second step is skill assessment. Now, you need to get your qualification assessed by AITSL or AITSL. AITSL is the Australian Institute for Teaching and School Leadership Limited. It is the assessing authority that will assess your qualifications. The next step after you get your qualification assessed is your expression of interest. So if you want to apply for a skilled independent visa or skilled nominated visa, you're required to submit an expression of interest or an EOI to Skill Select. Now, what is Skill Select? So through Skill Select, the Australian government and state and territory governments invite a number of skilled workers to make visa applications. Without an EOI, you cannot apply for a visa to migrate to Australia. Now, once you submit your expression of interest, the next step is to receive a state nomination or a federal nomination if everything goes well. So once you have submitted an EOI, you can then be invited by the Australian federal or Australian state government to apply for the skilled visa. The next step would then be, of course, to apply for the visa. So after receiving an invitation to apply for the visa from the Department of Home Affairs, you have up to 60 days to lodge a visa application. Without an invitation, you cannot apply, or you're not eligible to apply for the visa. So then you just need to go onto your immigration account and then upload all the documents and apply for the visa. So those are all the steps that you need to take in order to apply for a secondary school teacher visa in Australia. Now let's recap what those were. Number 1, take the point test. You should have at least 65 points. If you have more than that, that's of course a good news. Step number 2, get your qualifications assessed by AITSL. Step number 3, apply for an expression of interest. Step number 4, receive a confirmation for your EOI. And step number 5, apply for your visa. So as I said, there's a huge demand for teachers in Australia. If you are a teacher and if you want to move to Australia, I would highly urge you to look into moving into regional Australia as well, because A, it's beautiful, and B, there's a huge demand of secondary school teachers there. But if you don't want to move to regional Australia, that should be fine too, because there is an overall shortage of teachers in Australia. If you are a student who's planning to study in Australia, I would urge you to look into teaching as your study option, because that will help you in getting your permanent residency quite easily. So that's it for today's video, guys. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. I will try to answer all of these. I will make a part 2 about how you can get your qualifications assessed by AITSL. So make sure you subscribe to my channel, share it with all of your friends. The secret way to get into Australia, to migrate into Australia, get that PR easily. Give this video a like, and I will see you in my next video. Stay safe. Bye.